Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Hell. But it's going to keep moving a big plate of pasta, which I'm quite intent in getting stuck right into. But no, kill it. Right, there we go. I can still hear it, but I just need to kill. It's pressing these fucking buttons. But going to get straight into it, man. Biden has dropped out. I'm not surprised. If I had my head in the game a wee bit more, I would have put money on it. What a motherfucking thing. Booyah! Michelle Obama. See, if I was in America, man, I'd be printing out Michelle, love Michelle Obama fucking... No! Fucking. Right, thank yous, can I hear that? I need to remember that. Thank fuck yous, can I hear that? There's a button on this, and when it's happened again. Right. No, that's no worked either. It's just making me want to listen to music. Hopefully that's working now. But let me show you what's happening actually, instead of sitting there like that. So I literally just turned. I was responding to comments, listening to music, and somebody was like, "Looks like you could be right about the Michelle thing." I was like, "Well, why? I'm a clairvoyant." And obviously he was ahead of the game when it came to what's going down in the town. Let's have a wee listen.
That's going to be somebody who presents a very significant and important contrast with Donald Trump, the 34-count convicted felon who is an adjudicated rapist and someone committed to overturning and undermining our democracy, and J.D. Vance, his lackey, who has no scruples or principles or ability to keep a position that anyone can trust.
Horrible,
since he did
audio.
a total 180 just to become one beat from the seat of power as Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate.
There has been much back and forth within the party over the last few weeks, with some people pledging their support for Joe Biden, others calling for him to step aside from re-election, which ultimately is today. What will Kamala Harris have to do now to bring those two groups back together to unify the party?
Well, for example, I'm someone that thought that Joe Biden should continue, and I support Kamala Harris and wholeheartedly. Don't hesitate for a second.
Hold on. Are you as fucking daft as your fucking hair looks, hen? Joe Biden should fucking stay on. You'd be lucky if he makes this another 4 months. Look at him. He's visually deteriorated within the start of the campaign to where we're at right now. To the extent where he has to get COVID and go and get injections and go to a spa for a fucking month. Fucking hell. Well, this is what I used to blow a blood vessel over. And like, as if, like, you can't believe what you're saying. And you're like, she doesn't. She's paid to say What she's saying.
To endorse her now that President Biden has decided to end his campaign, and she's going to need to do what every candidate does, you know, just like I do and any of us that are running for office.
Was she crying now?
Reach out to the voters. In this case,
I need to take one of those ears out, man, and do that in the same
She'll
process.
be talking with delegates to the convention, state party chairs, elected officials across the country, and she'll be getting on the road as she has already been. It's not like she's having to start from scratch here. This is a vice president who's been in office with Joe Biden side by side for the last 3.5 years, and she's done a fantastic job on the stump. She's
Michelle Obama
multiple times.
polls best against Trump,
adore her,
aka
and
she's in.
The fight that she has on her.
And I'll win my bet. I win my bet that I put on fucking what?
Have more of a contrast between
2, 3, 4 months ago
who put bad guys in prison and held cheating corporations accountable versus someone who was the head of a cheating corporation and should be in prison himself.
Ideal scenario for me.
Convicted.
Trump runs against Michelle Obama and wins.
A post on Truth Social in the last few minutes there saying that he doesn't intend carrying on with the arranged debate set for ABC News on the 10th of September. He wants to do a different one. He wants it to be on the Fox network. What's your view of what debates should happen come September?
Rupert Murdoch's.
You know, that'll be negotiated between the campaigns, and we'll see how that goes. But whenever they debate, I'm sure that Kamala Harris will eat former President Trump's lunch, because the contrast between these two individuals could not be more clear. And, you know, Donald Trump doesn't know what's coming at him, but he'll soon find out.
Doesn't know what's coming.
Well, just coming to us now, we have received a statement from the First Lady, Jill Biden, a statement coming from her communications director, and in it she says, down to the last hours of the decision only he could make, Jill Biden was supportive of whatever road he chose. She's his biggest believer, champion, and always on his side in that trusted way that only a spouse of almost 50 years can be. One of the first Democratic senators to react on camera to the news of Joe Biden's decision, Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. Here's
tomato spaghetti.
I was so deeply moved by the president's powerful and poignant.
Well, we'll say spaghetti, it's linguine, technically.
Which was truly courageous and visionary. President Biden has been one of the greatest, most courageous, and consequential presidents of
Let's check the bookies.
And he
what are the bookies are very rarely wrong. That's why they make a lot of money.
And vision with this decision. Let's be very clear. This decision was
a society you shouldn't be visiting.
And strong. He put the country first.
He's a fucking old man.
Trump has never done. Joe Biden acted today in the interests of America.
We're talking about him being an old dude, you know what I mean?
Well-being above his own, perhaps, self-interest.
Where's the politics?
And it is a decision that
because things would have changed.
And respect.
Senator Blumenthal went on to say that Kamala Harris was at the top of his list to take the nomination, but he says he does want there to be an open and orderly democratic process. And of course, the Vice President Kamala Harris has received endorsements from the President himself, also from the former President Bill Clinton and his wife, the former Secretary
oh my God, look,
she's
at fucking...
No endorsement
you will get
from
fuck
Barack
all on
Obama
her.
In name. And many calls for there to be an
she's
open
no
and
worth the sweat off your boys.
There have also been many
but Michelle Obama
still
fucking floating in there. Third favourite, well, joint second favourite actually. I'll correct myself. Joint second.
Joe Biden
right, she's at 13s.
In a speech later this week, and he
13 to
will
1.
stay on as president until he hands over
Let's
to
see
his
what
successor
I got
in
for
January of next year.
Right.
That's it.
They're offering me $5 for Donald Trump becoming president. Let me think.
Hello. It looks like the
Maybe
second
there'll be
half of
a-
July will continue to be much
I think
more in
it'll be
tune
2
with summer
years in
weather than the
September
first half of July.
that I made
It's
this
going to
bet.
feel quite warmer there when you get the sunshine, temperatures at or above average. But this week, I'm almost typical week, and there'll be a bit of a mix around.
Michelle
Some
Obama,
rain at times,
but
particularly on
that's
Monday and Thursday.
presidential
There's a great
elect
likelihood of
Democratic
some longer, drier spells too.
election
Now, one of
thing.
the wettest spells said Monday.
I get
These weather
15s
fronts
for her.
pushing across the country, which gives a rather grey and misty, murky
So what
start
was that?
to
Did
the
their
day.
odds?
Patchy light rain or drizzle for many, but some heavier bursts across
She's at
Scotland and the
13s
far
and
north of
now,
England first thing.
and I got
Many will
13s
brighten
for
up, with
15s
scatching
for
showers will
her.
quickly rush
I
across
got
in the
a
afternoon
longer
southern
odds.
areas before some longer drier spells
So the
later.
odds
Further
have
north,
shortened
we'll also see sunshine
since I've
develop
came in.
across the cloud eastern Scotland.
And
Less
this
of
is a weird
sunshine in the
one.
west, but some slow-moving showers. Not
Oh
much
no,
of a
sorry.
breeze here, and where those showers do form in Scotland, Northern Ireland,
Presidential
Northern England,
election.
there's an outside chance
Alright,
of the
alright,
occasional
become
light drop.
president,
Look at
sorry.
the temperatures in the afternoon with some sunshine.
I got
16 to
15 to
24
1.
Celsius, bang
And I
on
got
target for this stage
5
in
to
the
1
year.
for her to be the
Some of the heavier
Democratic
showers will last in eastern Scotland into the first part
election.
of the night.
And
but
look
through
at this,
Sunday
man.
night into Tuesday,
I've had this for
patchy
about a
rain
year and a
will push
half
Ireland
as
into
well.
Wales, central
See
and
if these
southern
all come
England.
in.
And
I'm
on
going to
Monday
start
morning,
putting
we'll
these
get
all
a mild
together
start today for
and
the coolest
making
clear
and
skies
start
in
claiming I'm a
Scotland.
clairvoyant and
But for
people
Tuesday,
can
ridge of
take
high pressure
readings off
starts
me.
to build in. Before it does, though, we've just got this little kink in the ice of ours, little trough linked to the weather front, which will bring cloud and occasional showery bursts of rain, especially during the morning across parts
Oh
of
mate, I
southern
wish it
Wales,
was.
central
No,
southern
I don't
England.
wish it was chow
Odd
mein. It was
isolated
nice.
shower
That was
elsewhere on
homemade
Tuesday,
rather
but
than
for
chow
most,
mein,
it
you
will
know.
be largely dry. Best of the sunshine around northern and western coast. We will see a bit of a breeze.
But I
Some
do-
temperatures down a little bit
every
on
time
Monday's
I
values. A
come
cooler night
back
then
for
to take
the
us into Wednesday,
gym,
but with
man,
that ridge of
it's
high pressure, a
running
bit
the
more
gauntlet,
widespread,
man.
lighter winds. It will be a
McDonald's,
much more pleasant
Aldi,
day. A few
ev-
isolated
honestly,
showers
man,
can't be ruled out. A
every
lot of dry and bright weather.
colour
some
of the
sunshine to begin
rainbow,
with,
man.
and then clouds spilling in from
I
the
just
west.
usually
Longer
end up
spells
in
of
the boozer
sunshine from
thinking about
afternoon
what I
in
could be
eastern
eating.
areas. Just one or
But I
two
done
mild
well.
showers.
Just
It
came
will
home
feel
and made
warmer again.
myself my
Temperatures
own
more
grub.
widely into the 20s.
Now,
As we go through Wednesday night into Thursday, though, this will probably be the wettest spell of the week, with these weather fronts pushing
let's
across.
get back
Not
onto
completely
Biden.
wet, but there'll be some patchy rain or drizzle around again.
Oh look, that looks well healthy. Have you ever noticed? I don't know if it's copyright or anything, right? I think it's because he doesn't like it. It makes him look better.
Always be thankful for President
You know,
Biden's
rather than showing him
leadership,
like walking like the
supported our
Terminator,
country
who can't he
during the
walk
most
because he's
dramatic moment
arthritis
in
or
history,
whatever.
assisted us in preventing Putin from occupying our country,
This is my
and
mic.
has
Oh,
continued
get
to
new
support us
earbuds.
throughout this terrible war. The current situation in Ukraine and all of Europe is no less challenging, and we sincerely hope that America's continued
she's that
strong
Asian woman with a
will
weird
prevent
mouth.
Russian evil from succeeding or
What's her
making
space?
its aggression pay off. That statement there from Zelensky, President Zelensky there.
I'm a news
We will
presenter.
return now to NBC News.
Oh, great, man. What's this, man? Where's the selection? Where's the independence?
Why is it so tough right now?
Oh, there's nothing like, there's no news like American news.
Welcome back to our NBC News special report on President Biden's historic
Why don't they have an
decision to
English
withdraw from
dude
the
presenting it?
2024
That's their
campaign.
usual
The
trick.
Republican presidential nominee,
They
former
dupe
President
the
Trump, talking to
Yankees.
his social media platform Truth Social, or taking to that platform to criticize President Biden, calling
This
him
is
the
gonna be
worst
fun,
president in the
actually.
history of our nation. Let me bring in Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller. Jason, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Lester, good evening.
I want to ask you, actually pick up a conversation we were having before the break about a debate. There is a debate that was on the books for September. Will it be transferable, as it were?
Well, there's definitely going to be another debate, or I guess in this case, a first debate against whoever the Democrats end up choosing. But I'm not sure that the Democrats are completely locked in on Kamala Harris yet. We see where former President Obama is still yet to endorse. There seems to be a lot of confusion and chaos on the Democrat side, which is in a big contrast to where the Republicans are, as you noted earlier with the United Front in Milwaukee this week. But one thing, Lester, really stands out to
Look
me.
a
Less than 1 month ago, literally 3.5 weeks ago,
or a
Democrats
fucking
were decrying the use of these
spoon.
so-called deepfake videos of Joe Biden shuffling along, and within a month, President Trump has knocked Joe Biden out on the debate stage, and now Democrats have knocked Joe Biden out of the presidential race. And I think it really stands out to me that there's, with all this chaos today and the shift over to Kamala Harris, Democrats cannot name one single state where they're now in better position to win with Kamala Harris than they were with Joe Biden.
Well, I know there's been a lot of polling that's been referenced, but I'm wondering how relevant that polling is. I mean, it's a
oh my God, will that guy fucking say hello to his neck?
People will see it through different eyes.
Check that shit
and
out.
of course, there's the issue of the double haters we've watched develop over the last several months. Does that take that off the table and give voters a chance, someone other than, in this case, President Trump?
Yeah, really good question, because these are things that we've prepared for. We've polled, we've done the research, we have the ads cut. We're completely ready to go. This campaign is ready for anything that the Democrats throw at us. And the thing that really stands out from the Harris-Biden administration is that Kamala Harris owns all of the failures of the past 3.5 years, whether it be the record-setting illegal immigration, she was the border czar, for example, the sky-high inflation that's really crushing families all around our entire country. But when you look at the core issue of competence, that is the one thing that voters raise as a concern about Kamala Harris. They do not think that she is ready to step into that leadership position.
I was interested, you just said you guys are prepared for this. I mean, how prepared are you? There's things that move very quickly. How prepared are you to run a campaign that now pivots toward Vice President Harris?
Yeah, another great question, because we're ready for, again, whether it's Kamala Harris or anyone else
you know what
I've got? Put in.
You're saying you're
where this race changes,
you're saying you're having a cornflakes.
All the failures.
Do you know what I've got in there that I had last night? Actually, is a munch before going to bed.
Kamala Harris has a long liberal record, radical record in California, well before she even became vice president. You look at her efforts to decriminalize illegal immigration. You look at her calls to abolish.
Very descriptive, I know. It's hunters and nuts, and I'm pretty sure there's some oats in there. There's wee chocolates, some swirls, fucking Tesco own brand shite.
Bottom falls out for Democrats where they have real trouble.
I love that hamster.
Michigan, Wisconsin, working class voters,
like hamster food, buddy.
See Kamala Harris as a threat to their very existence.
I love it as a munch, man. It fills you up with a bit.
She has also carried the administration's message about reproductive rights. It's something we didn't hear much of at the Republican convention. Does that change the campaign?
Seriously, man, I need that guy's email address. I'll sell him half my neck for 1 year's salary.
More radical and extreme positions. So, for example, is remember in the debate, Joe
where's his gay pal telling him, "You're fat man, you're big fucking, you look like Alex Jones when he was only when he started hitting his downer."
Lester, that I think she has to answer is, if Joe Biden is not competent enough to run for re-election as president, how can we say that he's competent enough to stay in the White House? Lester, you masterfully ran the Commander-in-Chief series on election after election, and you sat down with Joe Biden just a week ago. You know that Putin, Xi, the Iranians, all of our adversaries around the world are looking at the U.S. right now, licking their chops, saying that we have Joe Biden in the White House, and that's a dangerous thing. I want to know, does Kamala Harris think that Joe Biden is still competent enough to be president?
Jason Miller, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale is with me. Ali, we're just learning from two sources that West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin is, quote, considering a White House run. What more do we know about that right now?
Well, Lester, this would be the first potential challenger to Vice President Harris, who, of course, has the backing of many in her party in these intervening hours since her boss, President Biden, said he was no longer running for re-election. Manchin is at this point, according to these sources, considering a bid. But at this point, he also would have to change his party registration. Back in May, he changed from being a registered Democrat to a registered independent. In order to actually mount this bid, he would first have to change his party affiliation back. But of course, he spent several weeks and months on a listening tour of the United States. Ultimately, he did not end up running for president then. Many of his advisors say that that could be the same decision he falls to now, but of course, it's too early to tell.
And we're just weeks from the Democratic convention, as we just noted a moment ago. How are Democrats on the Hill
4
rallying
months
support for Harris or another candidate ahead of that?
Well, look, Harris is really
4
the only
months
name
to
that
the
we've
election.
heard at this point, Lester.
Would
And
they say a couple of weeks
that's
to
with
the
good reason, especially because as you go
convention?
into this convention, and yes, technically the Democratic convention is
That
at the
Donald
end of
Trump
August,
rally
but what the DNC is actually
scary.
planning on doing as early as the first week of August, so 2 weeks from
was
now,
like a
they're doing
fucking
a
Nazi
virtual
rally, man.
nominating convention
Craziness,
where they will
man.
nominate their nominee
virtually.
Hero
At
worship.
that point, Harris has to earn the majority of delegates.
Swear to
If she
God, that
doesn't, then
actually
it shifts
genuinely
to a
kinda
very
scared
chaotic,
me, like,
potentially
what
very
the
messy,
fuck is going
open
on there,
convention.
actually?
That's where someone like, if Manchin decides to put his hat in the ring, he will have to do some work behind the scenes to get delegates on board for him. All of that could lend to a perfectly chaotic process for Democrats, one that Senator Klobuchar was talking to you about just in the last few minutes, trying to put a happier spin on it. But really, this would be a chaotic moment for Democrats after a very tumultuous series of weeks here in Washington. That's why right now we're seeing so much effort behind Vice President Harris, not just from elected Democrats, but also from the Biden-Harris campaign itself, trying to give her the most advantage that she can get.
Chaotic. I think that's a word we may be hearing a lot of in the weeks to come. Ali Vitale, thank you. I want to bring in Congressman Lloyd Doggett now. He was the first sitting Democratic member of Congress to publicly call on the president to step aside. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lester.
You have not, unlike many of your colleagues, have not
What's my
endorsed
fucking
Vice President Harris.
Saying
Do you
clear.
intend to, or someone else?
Well, Lester, from the very moment almost 3 weeks ago that I called on President Biden to step aside, I called for a fair, open democratic process to select a replacement. Now, I think Vice President Harris would be an excellent nominee. She is the probable nominee. She has all the advantages. But I want this process to be open. It doesn't have to be decided within a matter of minutes or hours of President Biden's decision. We need to engage the entire country in this. That will make our nominee stronger if we have an open process. Some may call this chaotic. I call it democratic with a small d, and I think that's what people want.
Yeah, I was curious if it's the same as craziness, or I'm sorry, craziness is the word I'm looking for, but messiness, I'm sorry.
Messy it will be. We're
Does
Democrats.
open mean, I'll get this question out eventually, does open mean messy?
Well, it does, and it means contentious, but as long as it's respectful disagreement, so much the better. As I said, I think Vice President Harris is the probable candidate, the likely one, and many of my colleagues and groups have been stampeding this afternoon to join her. I think that a number of the people that might have contested the nomination have already endorsed her, so I think it's headed that way. But let's keep the process open enough that anyone who thinks they can make a strong case that they're the best candidate to prevent Donald Trump and his gang from taking over our government and maybe never getting it back, that they have a chance also.
We're going to mosey into town, take over this
Vice President
town.
Harris is selected, she'll be all the stronger for it. The virtual process, I must say, I don't believe is a good way to do this. We need this to be open, not through some virtual advance process
he's for Texas,
as the
that
DNC
good,
had
right?
originally proposed.
So what does that look like when we get to the convention then?
It looks like some of the conventions of old where you had multiple candidates competing, or in Vice President Harris's case, it could well be that her strong efforts eliminate most of the competition prior to that
American
time.
Ukraine
But it
flag.
is a process where
Don't know
Americans
his other
sees that we're
button
different
pin
than
or
the
whatever you call
Republicans,
it is.
that we're offering
Can
a
you see
candidate
that?
for a new generation, that Donald Trump will be the old guy in this, that if it's Vice President Harris,
Oh,
she's a
Fox will
prosecutor
be
who's
good, won't
fought
it?
crime. Donald Trump is someone who has committed
Fox
crime.
will be good.
You sort of led this movement. Have you had a desire? Do you plan to reach out to President
Fox will
Biden?
be
Anything you
sweet
would want to
about
share
this,
with
man.
him?
Well, I would
Real
say
funny.
that I greatly admire his courage. He did what Donald Trump could never do, and that is to put country over his ego. His
what I was
legacy will
looking
be
for.
that he did everything he
Live
possibly
now,
could,
folks.
including sacrificing his own future
Yeah,
in order
baby.
to save our country.
You're out, man. Fox
Can
is
she collect
in.
enough delegates to make sure that no one else is thinking about running against her to seek the nomination?
Oh man, she's
And then
like a
Dr. Walker, I
Klingon. She's
would,
got a
of course,
massive
like to leave you with
forehead.
The last word here. Anything else that you think I may not have brought up yet?
That was
Or,
not a.
you know, I
Well,
did
it's
ask
on
this question
Fox.
before to another guest. I mean,
It's
news
bound
outlets all
not
over
to
the
be a
country are
flattering
covering
picture.
this story very heavily. Anything you think that hasn't been addressed that should be out there in the media for our viewers as we continue to watch out for this election season?
I think one of the issues, the things that no one has talked about VP Harris, and if she gets the nomination, is her connection to historically black college universities, which historically have produced a number of, prominent policymakers and influential African Americans. And I think that that's something that's really important. There are over
just
100
look at the
HBCUs
chat
throughout the United States,
to
and that
see
she can
how
tap into. We talked about earlier about
and
galvanizing young people. That she can tap into that.
It doesn't represent the real world.
And, get young people out
People
to vote,
think
and also a member of Alpha Kappa
chat rooms like that represent the real world. They fall into it.
Resource she can
And then
tap
like
into in terms of
think they can
getting the
influence it.
African-American
That
community
ain't the
excited,
real
getting
world,
individuals
man.
out to vote. And so I think those are the two connections
keyboard
she
warriors,
has,
for the lack of a better phrase,
or
trolls, for lack of a better phrase as well. The troll channels, they don't like to say things that fucking counteract the fucking message of the channel. That doesn't make sense to me.
Headlines to keep track of. So we do appreciate that you've come on here. Help us break it all down and look toward the future and see what else may be in store throughout the rest of this election season. You take care. We'll talk soon.
Shit, did I say that out loud?
Thanks for having me.
We do want to step away for a quick commercial break. We continue our coverage on the fact that Joe Biden has officially dropped out of the presidential race. A live look out there at the White House over in Washington, D.C. We'll see you back here right after this.
I'll see you later then. She's beautiful, isn't she? I'm assuming when stuff like that happens, because Sky News does it every now and again, it's differences between the law of advertising. Like, let's say, for example, with Sky News in the UK, with them in the States, and then advertising on YouTube. So right now they'll be hitting boner pills and all that jazz to all their punters in the States, and the people online get hot with nice looking buildings. But I'm definitely going to stay with this channel because Fox News will be hilarious reporting on this. I just want to see what's happening, mate. I just want to know the details. When he, philosopher, I just want to know the details. When he dropped out and all that jazz. Everything else is just like comedy. I get you, man. Don't listen to it. I can't listen to Alex Jones and all sorts of other drivel. Oh shit. In fact, that's not true. I can. At least this shit dresses itself up as news. And all they're really doing is editorializing what's came for Reuters, AP.
Here we have a tweet on your screen from California Governor Gavin Newsom saying this.
I mean, who could argue that tweets are not news? Our democracy's at stake. Our democracy's under threat. My fucking knickers are wet. Oh, there's a meme. Our democracy's under threat. My knickers are fucking wet. Our democracy's under wet. That's a fucking t-shirt. And if you steal it, I've got this to copyright or do something, I don't know. Steal it. Our democracy's under threat. It's making my fanny wet. Nothing says a bit like... Nothing tells me that it's news than a bit of background music. Tits and fanny presenters given. Especially in Fox News. But tweets. Aye, man.
DNC nomination.
She's a bit
We
alright.
won't know who's
Might
going
not
to
be
run up
everybody's
against
cup
former
of tea.
President Donald Trump and his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance. Their nomination was formally accepted last week during the Republican National Convention. I do want to head out to
I just thought it,
Washington,
philosopher, I
D.C.
thought it
We
would
have
be
been
funny to
showcasing
see how
reaction
Fox
from
News
different
is
lawmakers,
reporting on this,
world leaders,
because we all know
congressional
they're
leaders here
fair
in the US,
and on
but we're also
fair
getting some
and
reaction
balanced.
from voters and people on the ground. Let's head out to this. Some folks spoke about what they thought about Joe Biden's decision to officially drop out.
I think the reason she turns me on so much is she reminds me of somebody I used to...
Ah! So
Hold on, there's the antidote.
it is painful. Biden's credit.
Antidote given.
He listened. I think that was
I'm
the
only joking.
manly and presidential thing to do.
No, I'm not.
I think it was also obvious that he needed to
Oh, I needed the fucking sugar hit me.
face a kind of dark reality. But I think
I just don't see why everybody's surprised. They just want to hear some cunt say Michelle Obama.
grew louder and stronger and more, the less likely it would have been for him to
HRT positive. HRT positive. I'm only having a laugh, ladies.
maybe he can
Or am I?
resign. Already I've heard on various comments that
You're hearing the audios, I'm hearing it.
now have very fond thoughts for him.
Pretty sure
But
she's
I think
gibbering.
that we are in such dire, horrible
Oh,
straits right now.
I get it now. It's Fox News making Biden people look like arseholes. Jobs are good in Fox.
Hitler and Germany, it is the same kind of thing. It is the vilifying and scapegoating of people. He has now taken such a harsh and ugly attack against immigrants, most of whom come from countries where America
Do you not think that's
has
a
destroyed
bit out of order though?
democracies and installed dictators,
Right.
where the climate
She's just your
has
average
ruined
crazy
their lives,
woman,
and they are the least
regardless of what side she may or not be on.
But the former president,
And for media to bounce up, and obviously, oh, you need to film this one. You know that's what's happened here.
social fabric,
They didn't film her because they could understand what she's saying.
just so decimated, so I don't know, skeletal. What little we have left is so unreminiscent of
Has anybody
what we
else see it
in
yet?
the 60s, with protest, I went to, I'm a civil rights activist. I went to Mississippi with SNCC, so I know that we can change
Right, that's
things.
just taking the piss, Fox News. What the fuck? That really was taking the piss. What? Why? I want to focus on my... What Biden isn't the biggest thing about? Here we go, there's a bit of Biden.
Those cases of history, but it also suggests that he must be pretty strong, feel pretty strongly that she would make a very good president.
And but it's a complicated relationship, is it not?
Let's see what Al Jazeera and RT. That'll be well worth
And then
a
you
listen.
have the war in Gaza, which is just continuing on, and the Democratic Party has been hemorrhaging support, particularly from young people.
Turn my
from
computer
Arab
off for 2
Americans,
weeks to turn it back
from
on, man.
ordinary
I'm meeting all the
Americans
scores
across
on the
the
doors.
ethnic and religious spectrum who just don't want their tax dollars going to finance what they clearly see as a genocide. So I think, though, that as I assess this moment, one thought that comes to mind
History
is that
will
the
judge
war in
that's
Gaza
been
has
done
really
far too
accentuated the cold hard
I
fact
believe.
that the U.S. policy
I
toward
think the
Israel
history
is a
books
firmly
will say that
bipartisan one.
most
and so,
people will agree
regardless
that
of who would pick up the
that's
mantle
been
from Joe
obvious
Biden,
for
whether it's
a
Kamala
long,
Harris or it's Gavin Newsom or it's any number of other
time.
Democrats,
It wasn't cleverly
on the issue
edited
of
YouTube
Israel
videos.
and, the U.S. view of Palestinians
The
as
guy was
less
like,
than human beings.
you could
as
see the
indicated by the
vacantness
policy,
in his
is gonna
face,
remain the US
unfortunately,
policy,
man.
regardless regardless of who wins the White House
You
or
know,
who
you
wins
can just
the
see that shit.
open convention or
Is
the
it the
selection
eyes,
process
or is
from
it
the
just
elites
the
of the
whole
Democratic Party.
expression? Or
But it is going
what?
to
I
be
don't know,
a
but
policy
you could see
that's
it.
going to have to be justified if you're going to get that youth vote out, or those that are undecided.
Is she
That's been a
Hispanic,
topic that has
black?
been repeated in the
Can you
conversations
see
I've
him
had in the last few
express?
hours
I
with
don't know.
various analysts.
Right, and let's
I
take
don't know
Kamala
much about
Harris as
Kamala
an example.
Harris.
Her
Kamala.
track record on Israel and Gaza issues didn't begin the day that she and Joe Biden were sworn into office. In fact, her reputation in the U.S. Senate was being a particularly strong supporter of Israel. In 2017, as a senator, she met with Netanyahu, and they posted a smiling picture. She's repeatedly gone to visit AIPAC. She dissented when President Barack Obama abstained from a vote at the United Nations Security Council. She's on record as saying that the issue of Israel's violently annexed territories and illegal settlements, that the United Nations should play no role in this. So, when people talk about, oh, well, maybe this opens up space to reclaim some of that youth vote, if you just scratch a little bit at the surface of Kamala Harris's record, even prior to becoming vice president, you see someone who was vociferously pro-Israel, including when it was at its most brutal. As vice president, as you indicate,
I just read that wee tagline, right? It's like, Biden, I'm quitting to focus on my duties as president.
Kind of this forced empathy with the suffering Palestinians of Gaza. And so you can pinpoint in March and April a couple of key moments where it was clear that they were sort of testing the waters on what it might look like for Kamala Harris to adopt a different line than President Biden, who was full-throated supportive of the Israeli government. In fact, she became the most senior U.S. official, although it was couched and there were caveats to mention the word ceasefire in the affirmative.
Corruption
so
in Iran.
There was some forethought that went into this, but what I'm saying is that if you look at it on a purely factual level, almost anyone that would possibly be chosen to replace Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, and Harris seems to be the front runner right now, that person is going to maintain this bipartisan U.S. policy of just merciless punishment of the Palestinians in favor of an unquestioning servitude to Israel's policy toward the Palestinians.
And the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says the Republican Party could legally challenge the replacement of Joe Biden.
These elections are handled at the state level. Every state has its own system, and in some of these, it's not possible to simply just switch out a candidate who has been chosen through the Democratic small d
So
Democratic
you've got
process,
two outsiders,
over such a long
Obama
period of time. 14
and
million
Newsom,
Democrats voted
and
to make
I've
Joe Biden
heard
the nominee.
on
So
the
it would be
wind
wrong, and I
that
think unlawful
Harris
in accordance
can't
to
be
some of the
done
state's rules
because
for a
there's
handful of
people
people to
within
go in
the
a back room
infrastructure
and
that
switch it out because
they're
they don't like the candidate
they're
anymore.
no
But
playing
that's not how
ball,
this is supposed to work. So
which
I think they
leaves
would
it
run into
open
some legal
for
impediments in at least a few of these
Whitmer.
jurisdictions, and I
Whitmer.
think there'll be a
Whitner.
compelling case to be made that shouldn't happen,
Daft
and so I
Yanks.
think they've got legal trouble.
Whitmer
That's
and
their intention,
Obama.
that's their plan.
Oh my
Bruce
God,
Fein
my
is a
bet
former U.S.
is
Associate
looking
Deputy Attorney General, and he
sweet.
says there's no legal basis for the House Speaker's claims.
I think Speaker Johnson was stating nonsense on stilts, as your fellow Jerry Bentham said about the British common
She's
law.
part
The
Indian
United
and
States
so
Supreme Court held a case many years ago called Cousins Against
has
the
that
Goat, that
funny
political parties are
question.
private organizations.
Do you mean
and
like
they have
Native
exclusive
American
to
red
prevent any
Can you
state
still
government
I swear to
from
God,
deciding
man, I
who should be
forgot fucking
attending
more
and
words
voting
than
as they
the
will
dished out.
at a
Indi-
convention
right,
to
I
select
think I
a
get you.
presidential nominee. There was a
Indian,
case
liqueur, like
concerning a
Shushat.
dispute, internal
Indian,
party
Indian.
dispute among the Democrats who would represent the delegation
Yeah,
from
I get you,
Illinois.
but that
And the
that
court
now
made it
visually
quite clear,
makes
no,
sense as well.
the
You know,
Democratic
it's
and
just
Republican
just
parties
finding
are
out
private
there.
organizations. They have exclusive
Good
authority over
woman, no, I
deciding
mean.
who gets to vote for the nominee for president. I think this would be relating to the internal party rules that may provide that if you are selected, committed to vote
It's
for a
1 o'clock.
particular candidate like Biden, you are bound and you cannot
I thought this
vote
would
for
be
someone
quite
else,
big
be a
news for a
so-called
lot of folk,
faithless
you know, the fact that
delegate. But
Yeah,
here, where Mr. Biden is
I call
the
him
one who would say,
Shushat,
"I'm
mate. That's the
releasing
Polish
you,"
word
and,
for a little
I don't
boy's
know whether
penis.
he could direct them to vote for Kamala Harris. He could urge them to do that. I think if he released them from voting for
anything
himself,
else I'm
they
entertaining
may
myself.
have then free choice to vote
Jamaican?
for whoever they want.
Are you sure, Hole?
Now that may be more academic than real.
So she's
depending upon
Jamaican
how much
and
loyalty
Indian?
they have for Biden, so they may vote for Kamala Harris. But that's kind of a small
Jamaican
glitch. I do not think
being,
that's an
well, fuck it, I
insuperable
was going to say
problem.
Jamaica
And
being
remember
part
that
of
the
the
Democrats,
Commonwealth,
again, being a
but
private party, could change the
same
rules
can be said for
with
the
regard
other.
to how you deal with a situation which is
Jamaican
unique in a long
and
time,
Indian
where a
love
candidate
make beautiful
drops out
babies, man.
after having won delegates and is authorizing his delegates or directing them to vote for a different candidate.
With
And that
American
does it for me. I'm
accents.
Layla Harak for this news hour. Let's quickly recap the
Man,
latest
show
from
us
the
some
past 60 minutes.
Biden phone
US
doing
President Joe
somewhere.
Biden has dropped out of the race for the White House and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. A growing number of Democrats have now endorsed Harris as well, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, who has been seen as a possible rival for the nomination. All right, you've been watching our live coverage. This is a live.
So
look
who's
for
this
you at
Gavin
Delaware, where
Newsom
the
cunt?
president
I honestly couldn't show. Oh, it's the white Obama, isn't it?
Is changing the face of one of
It's the
Mexico
white
City's
Obama.
poorest and most violent neighborhoods. More than 11,000 of these murals now adorn the
He's
streets
young,
and roofs
well-groomed.
of Iztapalapa. The government-funded program
well,
is part of
young,
a larger
56.
project to make the area safer and more
Fuck's sake,
attractive.
man, that must have been took about 20 years ago, you
Iztapalapa
prick,
mural
or
is a project
photoshopped
that
out
tries
there.
to involve the local community to
AI!
listen to them, to rescue themes that need visibility. Why? Because there's so many stories of local neighbors, the history of this town that need telling.
The People's
Iztapalapa is
Channel.
not just violence, there is a great history.
Britain's news channel, Michael Portillo.
Residents in these communities are increasingly
I'll
eager
crack
to
the
have
jokes.
a bit of their own personal stories on public.
Well, here we go, breaking news. Fucking find the button.
His basement. He goes on to say all those around him,
Donald
including his
Trump is
doctor
hiding
and
women
media,
in his
knew
basement.
that he wasn't capable
knew
of
it.
being president, and he wasn't. And now look what he's done to our country, with millions of people coming across our border totally unchecked and unvetted, many from prisons, mental institutions, and record numbers of terrorists. We will suffer.
Imagine you just turned on that channel when I did, which I did, because I did. And then all you hear is that diatribe of shit. Yeah, true, fake, you decide. But you just hear that Do you think there's biasm or something? I don't
Greatly because of his presidency, but we will remedy the damage he has done very quickly. So that was
he's talking about
former
Biden.
President Donald Trump in his reaction following Joe Biden's decision to step aside from that race. Joe Biden himself describing it as the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me
What
to
would you
stand
rather
down
be
and to focus solely on fulfilling duties as
controlled
president
with?
for the remainder
This
of my term?
or punching
so he
duty?
will remain
I love
in
puppets.
his
I mean,
position
like, genuinely,
until
man,
at
like,
least
when I
January.
was
Let's
younger,
return now
I
to our
loved
colleagues at
fucking puppet
NBC.
shows, man. Somebody should make the best of. Alright, Rebel.
This hour, our NBC News special report continues.
Well,
The
Rebel,
political
that's all I
earthquake
want in my
rocking the
leaders.
country.
Them to be
President Biden
funny as a
dropping out of the race for
motherfucker. No, he went down a different
endorsing
route.
His vice president
No
Kamala
other
Harris
leader
to replace him
trying to
as
be
the
funny has
nominee.
went down the route of going senile
Tonight, the
live.
as the country comes to grips with the late
Actually, like,
reshuffling of the race
no,
and
he's
the questions
actually
this
like
hour about what
some
happens
cunt could
next.
put in a
Vice
graph.
President
A
Harris saying she
schoolgirl out
wants
there
to
for a
earn the
project.
nomination. Many Democrats throwing their support behind her.
Here you Rebel. That's all I want in my leaders. To be funny as motherfuckers. That's why John Major was bad. That's why Maggie Thatcher was bad. Tony Blair, he would crack a few jokes and then get Oasis in, and that would make me wet my knickers, so I would be alright. With all his Britpop shit. And then Boris Johnson, my favourite, man. He was a literal Bobo the fucking walking clown. He knew it, he played on it, he even got a haircut to go with it. The only thing that was missing, man, imagine he's just walked about with a fucking red nose on all the time. Would that not be the business? His whispering is... the kid on the roof in the SS, oh fuck off. His whispering and his anyway was funny as fuck. Oh, that's right, shit, I've missed that. They reckon there was more than one shooter. Oh man, is this JFK all over again, man? Is there a grassy knoll? His whispering and his anyway was funny as fuck. Rebel. Joe Biden was worth his money, wasn't he, on the internet round, especially like all the rightly, wrongly, in between you make your own mind up, man. There was some fucking creepy ass footage out there, always fucking weird ass footage, sniffing girls and all that shit, man. That was well funny. Hashtag, I really couldn't tell you how many. No, well, I don't think anybody here could say how many shooters there were or there weren't. Right? All I do know, or in fact, all I do know is Trump winds people up to the nth degree, to the extent where I can see them getting wound up to the extent that they want to shoot him. And whether it's a lone wolf or fucking coordinated, I can just honestly see that. In fact, I know that to be true. I still kind of engage with some people that have like just this unconcerted. And it's not that I love Trump, but I can just see this Trump and the obsession over Trump and what he has done, what he hasn't done, and blah blah. He's a fucking scumbag, fucking multi-billionaire, fucking businessman. But do you think he's never stuck here? See if you had the dough and you could pay a hooker to have sex with her, and not even a hooker, a porn star, man. Even better. Would you no do it? Am I the only one? Am I the only one that can fucking hold their hands up and go, oh, fair cop, governor? I'd be fucking balls deep. In fact, I'd be doing all sorts of shit deep, man. Fucking hell, if I was a billionaire, millionaire, fucking property tycoon in New York, and you had the ability to shag a... I've never even seen that woman's porn. I can't even remember her name. That's how much I remember her fanny, but not her name. But you would do it. Stormy Daniels. Come on, if you want it, if you had the dough and you could pay or butter up a biatch called Stormy Daniels, man, you would fucking do it. Shit. Hold on, that wasn't me talking. But you fucking would, man. Don't people talk pish. That's like, I don't know. It's no big, it's no clever. In fact, it's fucking big and clever, man. Nobody's getting harmed. Everybody's loving it, man. Fucking happy days. Fucking tick a box off your fucking bucket list. Fuck's sake. But that's only because I don't have a stick up my arse. Unless I pay for it. But you get me? I don't know if anybody gets that. Life's too fucking short. You only sit there and pretend you're all Christian fucking warriors. Hey, my virginity was took when I was 21 with my wife. Fucking get with the programme, man. It's fucking 2024 Gotham City. As long as everybody's cool in the hood and no cunts getting fucking harmed, and there's a safe word. Fucking stop! Batter the fuck in. Sorry, right. Each to their own. That's where my head's at. But here's the thing. That's where my head's at. So if I want to participate in that shit, boom. If that's not where your head's at, you don't have to participate in that. Boom. It's like winner, chicken dinner. Why the fuck you bothered with fucking what other people are fucking doing, man? I came across this the other night, but I won't go into it, man. I'll end up trying to read a bit of the chat. See what folks are saying. The kids on the roof that the sniper government told you on your last stream Biden would go due to a medical issue. Is Presto's press people? Oh, right, he said he had COVID, right? Okay, you man. They have been doing sound analysis on the shots going off. Who have people on the internet? Because there's no echoes off buildings. That's just my first stab in the dark there. But, like, who the fuck cares? There's plenty of people that would probably be willing to rock up and take a pop at fucking Trump, even if it is just to fucking go to jail with the kudos. I've spoke to people who are deranged with their hate. No, deranged, that's the wrong way of saying it. Obsessed with their hatred of that dude. And they're sitting in the UK. I'm like, what? Like, honestly, it's like strangest fucking thing for sitting in the UK and fucking like getting really. But I can understand getting interested because it's a comic book story and all that jazz. But just letting it upset your daily business. They should have him carry on by ranting about his neighbours from the 50s. Fucking missed the train of thought there. Do sound analysis all they want. The only thing they want to hear is the woman SS agent getting Trump is fucking pisses people off, like me included, man. And in fact, I just get highly entertained with it, dude. Right, but when he starts talking about like fucking politics, I'm like, but again, it's just entertaining. But that's what he's designed to do. Trump and Starmer should be good to see what happens. That will be interesting. Hasdak, by the way. Spot on, my man. That will be interesting. But again, when it comes to international relations, 99.99999% of the time, what happens? Cuban. Cuban. You know, there's little to no choice. Hey, Stormy Jacks. Give the man a hole. I just watched second episode, 2 Monk episodes. Mate, it's amazing, isn't it, hole? It's the fucking business. I swear to God, when did Monk come out? Like, what year are we in? It must be about 20, 30 year old. 20, 25-year-old. When you're watching it, if you get away for the stuff that's dated, if that makes sense. But it's fucking about. What did you think about it all? What's he did about asses? What if the fireman was the target? I enjoyed Monk. It was well the business. Do you know what else I rediscovered, by the way, which is really fascinating? See if you want a wee bit of binge-worthy shit on the old Netflix. And most people, a lot of people have watched this. What's it called? The Big Bang Theory. But what's so fascinating about it is where they touch on the tech so much throughout the whole journey of the programme, and I'm sure it was like 10, 11, 12 episodes deep. So if you stick it on and you've just got it on as background shit when you're doing X, Y or Z or whatnot, and you notice the journey. At first they're talking about iPods, next thing they've got smartphones, you know. If you get me. But it's interesting. Just give the man a hope. Well, ain't that always the case? Ain't that always the case, man? Give the man a bone.
It was a slow start. There's no question about that. But
Oh,
I thought it was a
there's
strong
that
finish.
crazy
we
lesbian.
are looking at a president in Joe Biden
No
who
harm.
has done historic work.
Now, the president's endorsement of Harris puts her in the pole position to take the top of the ticket. Harris, in a statement today, saying in part, "I am honored to have the president's endorsement, and my intention is to earn and win this nomination." Adding, "We have 107 days until Election Day. Together we will fight, and together we will win." In recent days, some of the president's key allies have signaled if he were to step aside, it is Harris who should get Democrats' support.
This party should not in any way do anything to work around Ms. Harris.
Congressman Jim Clyburn today publicly
plane.
backing Harris, with other Democrats following suit. The exception, the party's top leaders in the House and Senate, stopping short of an endorsement, but praising the president for his service. Whether it's Harris at the top of the ticket or not, other Democrats have been speculated to be in the mix, perhaps as a running mate, including California Governor Gavin Newsom.
President Biden doesn't run. Why shouldn't we consider you a likely
Well, I think the vice president is naturally the one lined up.
Pennsylvania's Josh Shapiro, Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer, Kentucky's Andy Beshear, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Do I think what's fake? the Biden thing?
White House 3 years later.
I love my country. And I feel a sense of responsibility to stand up and fight for the best of who we are.
After being selected as President Biden's running mate, she was tapped by the White House to lead the
She's a
administration's
good-looking
response
woman,
on
man.
critical issues like the root causes of the immigration crisis, coming under fire from Republicans for the White House's handling of the border, and pressed by Lester on the topic in 2021.
That dick, man. His forehead's bigger than mine.
To the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making. I'm not discounting the importance of the border.
Harris has taken on a vocal role advocating for abortion access, slamming the GOP for its position on reproductive rights.
How dare
Oh, and fucking abortion, man. Fucking hell. Is it legal to abort people that talk about abortion all the time? Anyway. Age of. What do you think there's going to be like a think it's already planned out that Trump's going to get in, buddy? Get in, buddy? I shouldn't have started doing the biscuits. Mate, I hear you, Rebel. We should demand Biden stays on. He would be well the best entertainment. And what could we say? Care for the aged. We could say they've been ageist. I mean, why can't somebody with borderline dementia not run for the president? I mean, that's just discrimination at its heart. I think we could get a crowdfund for this and all that, buddy. Crowdfund for help the aged. Why can't somebody with dementia run for president? I think that's perfectly reasonable.
It does not appear that it's simply levers being pulled by top officials in the party here. There is a significant, I think, nod to that as well. I think the question is going to be, what does the roll call look like? And I know Chuck will get into the weeds with you on the delegate selection and how this would work at a convention, but what does that next 4 weeks 4 weeks tomorrow is the start of the Democratic convention. What does Chicago look like, Lester?
And Chuck, I was speaking to Jason Miller of the Trump campaign a few minutes ago. It's clear they're going to go after the areas in which Kamala Harris was leading the administration's efforts, including the
Ain't
border.
nobody got time for that.
Are they looking at a one-size-fits-all attack
Are you
plan,
trying to say
or will
something?
they be a little bit off their game?
Or
well, I think they're going to be a little thrown off because I think
I don't get a
you now
joke
have a nominee
if
of the
it was a
Democratic
joke.
Party that isn't going to be afraid to say the word. It was one of those, there were a lot of Democrats quietly grumbling about President Biden sometimes on this issue. He sort of, the language has changed on him from when, from a majority of the time he was in office. So I really think they're going to go hard at border
Rebel.
and trying to define her as
Imagine
the person
Biden
that pulled
debating
Joe Biden
Putin.
to the left, right? They'll actually try to start praising
Let's
Biden
say in the
some by
future,
saying, and
world
Harris was one
politics,
pulling him to
these
the left.
countries
It's
like
why the
meet and
combination
debate.
of that and the
You know,
border
like the
issue,
presidents
I
and
think
our
Mark
prime
Kelly, and I'm
minister.
hearing from more people close to her,
Our
Mark
head of
Kelly,
parties
look,
do
look,
for some
she's gotta-
reason
and
because
I
it
think she
means
ought to
fuck
use
all.
this process to interview a wide range of
Can you
people from running a
imagine?
position.
Can you
I've heard
imagine
Mark Milley's name
Biden's
tossed about, as well as
bouncing up
Admiral
and
Mick
fucking
McRaven,
debating
a couple
Putin,
of,
man?
retired members of the
Oh,
military.
fuck
She ought to
me.
draw it out. It's a way for the country to get to know her.
They should do that as
It sucks up a little bit
pay-per-view.
more oxygen. But
I
Mark
would
Kelly
break
would
all
probably
sorts of records, man.
be the running mate that the Trump campaign would fear the most
Putin,
because
Biden
he would be
debate,
there to neutralize on the border.
pay-per-view.
He was very critical, constantly, of both President Biden and Vice President Harris on the border. He had to, coming from the state he comes from. And then you have the intangible factors. This is a family touched by political violence.
His
It's
glasses
one of
look
those,
cool.
it sort of it reminds people that this is a bipartisan issue we're trying to deal with.
Is this an animating moment, though, when you step back, an animating moment for a party that just spent the last several days watching Republicans in what at times felt like a love fest, frankly?
Well, I think it's what increased the pressure on President Biden to do what he did. I think when you saw this is a very unified Republican Party, the most unified arguably since George W. Bush in 2004. And, you know, this is...
Did you see Trump's rally?
There was a lack of
Scary as
enthusiasm. We've been
fuck,
seeing it
man.
out here. You
Fucking
know,
Hitler-esque, and I don't even think that's me over-egging the Putin. That's no me being sensationalist. It really was Hitler-esque.
They didn't really want to see it. The presidential debate, which of course sparked
Obama!
The lowest rated first
Shit,
presidential general election
it's
debate
not
we ever
it's
had.
not the one
Fewer
with
people tuned into
the
it.
vagina.
People thought they already knew these guys. All of a sudden now there's
Cheerio, cheerio, cheerio,
and it's an opportunity for both former President Trump and Vice President Harris, because I think there's an extra group of voters who have sort of given up on the system that they were giving them two unpopular candidates, and they might take a listen.
And Hallie, we have, of course, not seen the president come out. He is still apparently suffering the effects of COVID. But how important is that moment where we actually see him presumably
don't zoom
with
in.
Vice President Harris in the Rose Garden or some other location?
Yeah, wherever it may be, and of course, presuming that he is, in fact, appearing with the vice president. It's an important moment for the country, Lester. It's an important moment for Democrats.
And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
Well, 4 years on, it's clear the Biden administration has not been the healing balm it pledged to be.
She is hot.
Instead, once in office, the president took every opportunity to rant, to rage, and to smear a huge chunk of his own electorate.
This MAGA threat is a threat to the brick and mortar of our democratic institutions. But it's also a threat to the character of our nation. Trump is a threat to this nation. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. That is a threat to this country, which makes Trump and his MAGA friends losers. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans. The MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and economic security. They're a threat to our very democracy.
And the media in the US and beyond took inspiration from the president's words, painting Trump as the 21st
Rebel, did you not see him
Führer,
thanking God for fucking saving him for the bullet and stuff?
For a scene that will
Right.
surely go down in the history
Right, hold on, you wee hottie
Take a look
man,
what
until
happened.
I can see your full body shot. Right. See when he was talking about that exact thing that's happening there, and he started to, right, and then he obviously started thanking God, and God was with him and all that jazz, right? I was watching his rally. Now, I don't want to be misquoted. Before he came on, I think it was before somebody else came on. And I'm paraphrasing here because I can't remember the full title. The head of the Evangelical Council came on. And I'm sitting there like, wow. You know, like, and people that have watched me for more than a heartbeat, I know that I've been harping on this shit, man. And it's not because I hate fucking... Anyway, it's there, all in front of you, man. It's like a fucking evangelical, anti-vax, And I'm not telling you to go and get yourself jagged, right? Don't fucking mistake, that's what I'm saying. Just saying, you can... The anti-vax mob and the anti-abortion mob are like that, and they come for the same place for a reason. Do your homework, man. And it's mental how they've managed to gain so much support all over the fucking world. From Brazil, to Hungary, to the Netherlands, to Sweden, Norway. Speaking to a couple of Norway cunts tonight, man. I got another one of those stuff things. Oh my god, man. Those things give you a head rush. Ready to think, Big Mike. Oh, stroking. Mate, I can see Michelle Obama getting put forward, and if she becomes president, winner, chicken dinner. I'll win if Trump gets put in. I win if she gets nominated as a Democratic nominee, and I've also got money on her becoming president. I'm a clairvoyant, man, what can I say? Or I just love betting on politics, and I might be fucking some way good at seeing what way the wind is blowing. She could do with putting a few pounds on. Who, that chick? Oh, aye. In the arms and all that jazz, mate. Some chicks are just naturally like that, man. No, but obviously she's on telly, so she's feeling extra pressure, which is put on her by other people than fucking dudes that want to pump her. It's, as you're saying, mate, like, honestly, I keep speaking to a woman, I'm like, who keeps telling you that guys want you to look that way? What guys told you this is fucking sexy, do you know what I mean? And they can't name them because they don't exist. It's fucking TV, I wouldn't even say media. Anyway, oh fuck, there's enough data.
Didn't satiate Biden, the relentless diplomat. In parallel, he decided to aid and abet Israel in its slaughter of Palestinians.
I wasn't looking at her arms, mate. I was trying to get at your legs.
Weapons, but also by shielding Bibi Netanyahu from the court of public opinion.
She could do it a bit of pair of hooker heels.
You know, we've made our position clear on the ICC. We don't recognize the jurisdiction of ICC the way it's being exercised, and it's that simple.
ICC war criminal warrants discredited. ICJ rulings on plausible genocide dismissed. UN warnings of Gaza becoming a graveyard of children unheeded. Instead, arms shipment after arms shipment. All this combined has really only served to accelerate America's reputational and financial decline. Surprise, surprise, Joe. Stoking conflict and betraying allies don't do much for instilling trust. And neither does weaponizing the greenback.
I think that's important, and the more we have used
sanctions, amazing, didn't she?
The more countries look for ways to engage in.
I think she's putting on an accent. I really genuinely think she's a fucking leprechaun. I mean, see if you were to fucking think of a woman leprechaun, I know what you would get. Imagine sticking a wee green hat on her. Morning to ya. Where's my pot of gold? Can you be racist against leprechauns?
Financial
or
transactions that don't involve the dollar.
Nah, I see a
Footing the bill for their president's escapades are American taxpayers who are feeling the pinch on the economic home front, with over 40% saying that they have become poorer under Biden. Inflation has run rampant, rising from 1.4% to a high.
RT. I remember back in the day I used to love and lop up RT. Like, oh, they're telling me stuff I don't know. The mainstream media aren't telling me. Then you realise they're just like telling you all this shite about the country you stay in. And that's what the BBC, etc., have been doing to them for a long time. That's why they're getting banned and all that. And the BBC stop, oh, look at China, look at Russia banning Facebook and whatnot. Oh, give freedom of speech. And then next thing you know, ban the tickety talks. Fuck the Huawei fucking 5G. Get them out of here. Same shit, different stick. Right, I'm going to think of her in a pair of hooker heels and get him a bed. But don't worry, the internet won't go down overnight. I'm starting to stock up in cash. Because if the internet goes down, and I don't know, did any use witness the machine's not working? I didn't witness it. I wasn't out and about, to be honest. But shows you, man. Absolutely shows you. And God only knows what's going around in the conspiracy sphere about that whole crappy thing that happened, man. The theories are fucking endless, aren't they? But it really goes to show how much the machines have took over. Pretty much. The machines go down. We can't run our airplanes. You can't buy your fucking messages. What else could you know, do? Was banking fucked up? I don't know if it affected banking, but it shows you how much that's a punch in the balls. And how much they can, how easy. Like, I was just listening to shit about Bangladesh earlier on. Could have been in Al Jazeera. And they're talking about, like, they just pulled the plug on the whole internet. And like, they've put the army on the streets because there's no fucking party, there's no protest like a fucking Indian stroke Asian fucking party protest. They're all out with their bamboo sticks about that length, like, rattling each other, man. It's funny as fuck, man. But not big, not clever. And the army was on the streets and all that, just all that. They've shut down the internet. What? Do you know, because remember we were sold the internet, this big open fucking thing that couldn't shut down because it was this big fucking fucking graven web and blah blah. Nah, it's a button. Shut it down. I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think actually the fucking governments admit to that they can shut the internet down if needs be and whatnot. Right, I'm going to do it off because I do want to eat some more spaghetti. Thanks everybody. Biden's gone. I mean, does this surprise me? Do you think he Do you think he'll live? Nah, that's horrible. In fact, it's a fucking tongue-in-cheek joke. Do you think he'll live to see the next election? It's a bit horrible, but it's funny. Kamala Harris and Angela Rayner. Oh, do you know what, man? That's a calendar there, the rebel. You're right. They're the hotties. Hold on, I'm going to have to Google that penny thing. Who says I objectify a woman? The penny thing. I'm not sure who she is, that's why. Oh, I don't know. You know, on the right occasion, you could definitely do with a bit of her, man. You know, fuck's sake, she could do with one of those fucking Bangladeshi canes. Ben, we're talking. Hey, but are you talking about how good? Are you talking about in the bedroom, mate, or fucking how good they are at politics? Maybe she's a speed freak. Well, all the better for the sex, innit? Well, no, because she'll rub your dick out, man. You'll be like, night, all. Night, the rebel. Take care, my man. Well, I've not seen her in a swimsuit yet. I'll need to Google that later. What I do know, man, is Angela Rayner is fucking sexy as a motherfucker. Long old burny hair. I don't know. Don't get me started. She's a good looking woman. But most are. Right. Stick a wee thumbs up if you enjoy it. Tune in tomorrow. I'm going to do the daily politics. I think I might do it a lot later. Because trying to create good habits and all. Get to the gym first, come home, do it. Boom. Anyway, stay tuned. Sub up, bell up, thumbs up. And prepare for your demise. Biden's out. Michelle Obama's in. Obama and Trump for the American politics. Fellows, catch you next time, my man. Thanks everybody that joined in the chat. 55, my friend. Thank you as well, man. Catch yous all next time. Take care and make sure the nuclear bombs don't get you. Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.
Are you aching for the grave? Well, that's okay. We're unsure. Are you aching for the blame? Well, that's okay, 'cause we're unsure. We're getting away with it all, mister. Getting away with it all, mister. That's the living. Getting away with it all, mister. Getting away with it all, mister. That's the living. She's out in deep water. I hope he's a good swimmer. Daniel plays his ace deep inside his temple. He knows how to
Clip. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you right ahead.